Hello handheld gamers and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to have a look at Days Gone running on the SteamDeck and also on the OneXPlayer 4800U. Now on both devices we've decided to run at 800p. We have gone for medium settings in game. Low settings works slightly faster but just looks a bit basic, so we've gone for the medium settings, which will put a bit more strain on the battery and the processing power of both devices, as I'll soon show you here. So I'm just going to start a new game on both cases so we can have a quick look at the startup scene. So I've got new game selected on both. I'll just pick normal on both and here we go. So at this point the SteamDeck's claiming 60 FPS while it's loading and the OneXPlayer is at 42 FPS. Now the SteamDeck, I've got no power setting changes, it's just running stock. On the OneXPlayer I have a balanced power saving plan and we have no turbo button switched on. As you can see, thanks to the cores I guess, the OneXPlayer is ahead of the SteamDeck in loading up the game. One thing I will say, graphically the game looks really good on both devices, and I think, and this one's a bit strange, normally I find the SteamDeck is a little bit blown out looking, but it actually looks a bit richer in this case than the OneXPlayer. Both look good though. So in this cutscene we're getting about, that's 37 to 40, 43 there on the SteamDeck, about 36, 37 on the OneXPlayer. So the SteamDeck definitely has a graphical side nailed a bit better than the OneXPlayer, as you would expect with the newer chip. But it looks good on both handhelds, as you can see, very playable. And we'll skip forward to the point of the game actually starting, so I think, is this point to skip on this one? There we go. So what you will see here is the SteamDeck will outperform the OneXPlayer. Now they're both running at 800p, which is native resolution on the SteamDeck and half native resolution on the OneXPlayer. So it looks good on both devices. So we'll bring the OneXPlayer up a bit closer here. It's a bit out of focus, we'll try and fix that. Not so easy. It looks lovely on both. Now it plays really well. I'm not going to play too much of this. Now, I'm just going to show the opening scene, to be honest. Performance wise, we will get, it's sitting there at 33 FPS, 34 FPS, and we're pulling roughly about, I think that's 29 watts, yeah, 29 to 30 watts. We can skip this bit, I think. So we use left and right trigger. It feels pretty good to play. Pretty responsive. And we're getting 30 FPS there on the OneXPlayer. Dipped to 28 there. Now we're only pulling about, we're still pulling 30 watts. If I turn the turbo button on, it doesn't really add much other than use an extra 5 watts. So we're pulling up to 35 watts there. And it's 30 FPS in this driving scene here. In game, when you're on foot, I have found it runs about 30 FPS with the turbo button off, maybe as high as 34, 35, sometimes hitting 40 in fact, but with the turbo button switched on. So at that point, when you're playing the game normally, you're only using about 20 watts and it's 30 FPS. You turn the turbo button on, it jumps to over 30 watts and you're only gaining about 4 or 5 FPS at best. So personally I would just play the game with the turbo button switched off. I think at that point we'll just plop this down here now. And we'll pick the deck up. And we'll have a look at this. So as you see here, we're already pulling 35, 37 FPS. And it's taken about 25 watts out of the battery, which is quite a bit less than the OneXPlayer. Feels just the same, looks just as good. In game, you will see closer to 40 FPS on the OneXPlayer and the SteamDeck, sorry, which makes a big difference. And it's pulling typically 5 to 10 watts less than the OneXPlayer. In my review on which device I would play it on, well, I'm going to play it on the SteamDeck this time. It just feels a little bit snappier on the Steam Deck. It looks just as good because it's 800p on both devices. Usually I say the bigger bit of real estate makes all the difference, but I think in this game it's quite immersive. You have it quite close to your face anyway, you're really getting into the game. So actually, it's not that bad. So yeah, thanks for watching the video guys. It's a slightly shorter one. I'm not sure if you appreciate, if you like this layout where I do the same game on 2 different devices at the same time. Let me know in the comments. As ever, like, share and subscribe if you like this content. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.